Welcome from Creative Memories. I am so excited to be here with you today to walk through how to make this mini album using the really beautiful Emerald Gemstone collection. It's a fun mini album with lots of folds that can hold as many or as few photos as you like. Let's jump in and make it step by step. Okay, so to start making your mini album, we're going to make the base of the album. So what you'll need is you'll need 2 pieces of blue cardstock that measure 6 inches by 6 inches each. You'll also need 1 piece of blue cardstock that measures 6 inches by 8 inches. And then you'll need 2 more sheets of blue cardstock that measure 6 inches by 12 inches. So in all, you'll need 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock in order to make the base for your mini album. After that, it'll be up to you how much paper you decide to use in order to decorate. So we're going to start with putting these smaller pieces off to the side, and we're going to be doing the same cuts and scoring on both of our 6 by 12 pieces. So let me walk you through that. With our 12-inch trimmer, we're going to go ahead and take out our cutting blade, and we're going to put in our scoring blade. So that's going to be the orange cartridge. What we're going to do first is take our 12 by 6-inch cardstock. We're going to put it in our trimmer, and we're just scoring here, and we're going to score at 2 inches, and then at 4 inches. And then we're going to take our paper, flip it around, and go from 2 inches and 4 inches. If you find it easier, you can score at 2 inches and then 4 inches, and then you can bring your paper through, and then you can score at 8 inches and 10 inches if you'd rather not flip your paper around. Either way, you end up with the same scoring lines. So next you're going to go ahead and take out that scoring blade, because we're done scoring for now, and put back in your straight cutting blade. That's your blue one. So the next part is the trickier part. What we're going to do is we're going to take our 12-inch edge and line it up with the 1.5-inch mark, all the way down, making sure that your paper is in straight. And what we're going to do is, do you see this white line right here? This line is what's going to tell us where to start and stop. So we don't want to cut right through our cardstock. We actually want to cut from our first scoring mark here to our last scoring mark here. So it's actually going to go from 2 inches to 10 inches. So instead of slicing right through, I'm just going to come up here, line my white indication mark here with the 2-inch mark. Then I'm going to start pressing down, and I'm going to slide until that white indication mark lines up with the 10-inch mark. And then I'm going to release. And so that's going to create a slit in your paper that leaves a 2-inch edge on either side. So I'm going to rotate my paper all the way around, and I'm going to do the other side the exact same. So lining it up at the 1.5-inch mark. I'm going to come up here, line up my blade with the 2-inch mark, press down, and then slide all the way until that indication mark, that white one, is lined up with the 10-inch mark. And then I'm going to have 2 slits just like this. So let's go ahead and do that again with our other 6 by 12-inch piece. So once your 12-inch sheets both look like this, those are completely done. You can put those right off to the side. So again, we're going to switch out our blades. So we're going to take out that cutting blade and put in our scoring blade. The 6-inch by 8-inch piece of cardstock doesn't get scored or cut, so we can just put that with the 12 by 6-inch piece. And then these two pieces are going to get scored at 2 inches. So since your sheet is 6 by 6, it doesn't matter which orientation you put it in. You just need it scored at 6 inches, just like that. And now we are done with our trimmer for now until we start to decorate. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold on all of the score lines just to make it easier to get this to come together for us. So to put it together, this is going to be our base. So it's 8-inch by 6-inch piece. This is going to be the back of our mini album. So what we're going to do is we're going to take one of the 12 by 6-inch sheets and we're going to turn it over and we're going to add adhesive to this 2 by 6-inch panel. As well as this smaller center panel. So you want to make sure there's no adhesive on these top or bottom pieces and there's no adhesive past this score line. So when you're adhering this down, all you're going to do is make sure that it lines up with the bottom and top edge and that this score line lines up with the edge of your paper, your backing paper, and you'll know that you're in the right spot. And you'll know that it's done correctly because these ones will still pop up, whereas this one will not because it's adhered down. So we're going to do the exact same to this piece, except it's going to go on this side. So flipping it over, we're just adding adhesive to this panel, as well as the center panel. Flipping it over and lining up that score line, and then the top and bottom. Perfect. And again, you'll know that you've done it correctly if these top ones are loose, but the center ones are not. Now, when we're decorating this, we're going to be covering up our seam here, so if it's not perfect, don't worry about it at all. So now we're going to figure out how the folds work. So these folds, these two folds, are going to fold in, just like that. And then this center piece is going to fold in, and this piece is going to fold out. So it's going to end up coming together flat, but where it kind of zigzags, if you can see that, between each layer. So I'll show you that again on this side. So these pieces, these two, are going to fold into the center, just like this. And then in order to make it all go flat, this score line right here is actually going to get inverted. And it will fold so that everything can come together flat. And then this is how our book is coming together so far. I hope that makes some sense. And you can kind of see how it'll all look once it all folds out in its fancy fold. So now what we'll do to adhere our front on is we're actually going to fold our edges out so that the edge of this cardstock is now facing the outside of our mini album, just like this. And then we'll take adhesive and add it to the back of our front pieces. And then we'll actually just tuck them back in here. So you just want your score line to line up with the edge of that cardstock. And then this will be your front. So it kind of makes like a neat and tidy front. So let's do that again. And there you have it. So this is going to be the base of our mini album, and it's going to fold out like this, and we'll be able to add pictures, photos, journaling, and whatnot. So let's go ahead and decorate. Okay, so let's put this all together, and I will tell you the sizes again as I'm adhering them down. So these two pieces that we're going to adhere are actually going to get tucked in and behind this section, and these measure 5 7/8 by 1 7/8. So 5 7/8 by 1 7/8. So they're going to get adhered right down there, and then we're going to take a piece of coordinating pattern paper, and this measures 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. So the trick is with cutting all of these little pieces is that when you're going through, take your ruler and measure each section. So for example, the center section, when I measured it, this is a 0 centering ruler, so you start here. So it's 4 inches by 6 inches. So all I'm doing for each of my cuts is taking 1/8 of an inch off. So that's why it's 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. And then we're going to go ahead and adhere these ones down. And when you're adhering them down, you just want to make sure that you just keep an equal border all the way around, just so that it looks neat and tidy. So that's going to be the back of our mini album. Next, we're going to go ahead and adhere these top 4 sections, so these skinnier sections. So I've cut them in continuous sections. Depending on the pattern you're using, you can make them continuous or not. So these are all going to measure 1 3/8 of an inch by 1 7/8 for these little tiny rectangles. And then these center rectangles are 1 3/8 of an inch by 3 7/8 of an inch. I'm going to leave these 2 sections open for pictures, but by all means you can cut pattern paper to go on them as well and then mount pictures on top if you like. For me, I'm just going to make those sections fully pictures. On these 2 rectangles, I'm going to go ahead and put down pieces that are 2 7/8 by 1 7/8 because this measures 2. All right, now working our way out, these 2 panels on either side are going to have the gemstones. So these measure 1 7/8 by 5 7/8. And then finally for the inside, I've got 2 pieces of pattern paper that will go on the inside of the covers, and they both measure 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. All right. And that's all I'm going to do for the inside. Now for the outside, I'm going to go ahead and adhere these pieces of pattern paper down, and they also measure 5 7/8 by 3 7/8. So they're the exact same size as those inside pieces. Now, for the front of our book, we're going to create kind of a title for our book, and it's going to go across the front here. So how I'm going to do this is I'm going to start by choosing the title out of the stickers that I'd like to use for my title, and then I'm going to kind of build it around that. So you could just use a standard size here, and you could just start by cutting out a piece of cardstock and going from there. But since these are such different sizes, I would rather start with my sticker first and then go out from there. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, it's up to you to see the beauty of everyday things. I think that's kind of a beautiful saying. So I'm going to use some pattern paper as my backdrop for the stickers. And I'm going to use just this really muted one where it's got the navy and the brighter blue kind of intermixed. It almost looks like kind of like watercolor-esque. And it's the back side of this really cool star looking one. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the sticker and I'm going to back it with some of these leaves. So I'm just adhering them directly onto the back of here. And then I think I'm going to take another one, another cluster, maybe these ones. And I'll just adhere these kind of off to the side, sort of, maybe like that. That looks nice. So this is going to kind of define my size, the size of the space that I'm looking for. So I'm going to adhere it down here. Give myself some extra space. So I want this kind of in the top corner. I want to make sure that I have space for it, and where my title is square, which it looks kind of perfect. So that worked out really nicely. So this was actually just a scrap that I had, and it measures 3 3/4 inches. So it's 3 3/4 inches tall. And then what I'm going to do is kind of add on to here. So I'm going to use just some more of these leaves. They're really simple, but they're so beautiful. And I'm going to pop them up with some foam squares to add kind of a little bit more interest. And I think another single one with more foam squares. And I'll kind of add this maybe right about, don't want to cover up my words, so right about there I think would be perfect. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and use my trimmer and just slice off this. And now that I know that this is 3 3/4 inches, I'm just going to do another 1/8 inch border around. So I put this in my trimmer, and again, I'm just going to use the sight guide to make sure that I'm not getting too close to those stickers that I have. So I'm going to do right about there, I think, and put the slice. And then I'm just going to get a scrap piece of this blue paper, and I'm going to go ahead, and this is the cardstock that perfectly matches our album. And then we just cut this at 4 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut it at 4 1/4 of an inch. And let's see how that looks. So that's perfect. And then we're going to come in here and we're going to cut it just 1/8 of an inch off that 4-inch side. And now we're just going to add some adhesive to the back of here. And then we're just going to try and get an equal, even border all the way around, just like that. Perfect. And then to adhere it down, what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to do one line of adhesive along the edge of here, and then I'm just going to do some adhesive right here. And that way I know that I'm not going to go over this center line because I only want it adhered to half so that I can still easily open and close my mini album. So let's go ahead and make some more embellishments on the inside of our mini album. So right over here, I think I'd like to put an embellishment, and I really love this one right here. It's so big and beautiful. So I think I'm just gonna adhere that down, something like that. But I prefer, I saw a really great saying, do small things with great love. I really love that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that and pop it up with foam squares. And that's just gonna fill right over top, and it makes it a super fun embellishment with some dimension. All right, I think I'm also going to add maybe another embellishment down in this area. When you stop and look around, this life is pretty amazing. I couldn't agree more, and I think that's kind of a perfect one to use. So I'm gonna grab that one. And to make it more fun, I'm gonna grab these fan flowers. I don't know what they're actually called, but we're gonna go with it. So I think I'm just gonna adhere it down kind of like that. And then grab the other one. Adhere it down just behind it. And then that's going to go, I think, right about here. And I'm just keeping in mind like where I would put my photos as well as journaling. And I think that's gonna look great. Okay, so I'm feeling really good about this, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna cut out my photos, figure out where to put them, and then I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna take these fun little sprigs and put them around my photos just to embellish them as well. I think what I'll do is right over here, I'm gonna do a journaling box so that I've got some journaling in here as well as just photos. And I think that will finish it off. So I will pop some finished photos at the end of this. But like I said, just keep in mind, any of these sections can have photos. You can do as many or as few as you like.